The name on their passports is Poole. P-O-O-L-E. All three of them. Tar told his woman, so we understand, in case of difficulties, she should come to you.
Sign this, Peter, would you?
Stupid bloody cabaret. Percy gets more insufferable every day.
Get over, sobbing snail.
Peter.
Tar, that bastard Tar.
Peter, slow down. Slow down.
The file on Testify seemed a bit thin. I hope it was worth the sweat.
Ricky Tarr's not lied to us, Peter. Not in any material way. He's simply done what agents the world over do, failed to tell us the whole story. On the other hand, he has been rather clever.
Are you actually pleased with him?
Well, yes. We now know that Source Merlin works to Moscow Center, because that's where Merlin's information on Ricky Tarr must have come from. From Carla.
Ricky's been a lot better today, sir. Not nearly so nervy. Well, he did his football pools this morning, and this afternoon we planted some trees in the garden, and then this evening we had a nice game of cards.
Has he been out alone?
Oh, no, Mr. Smiley.
Used the telephone?
Oh, wouldn't dare, sir.
Has he talked about his daughter, Danny, or her mother?
Well, he did over the weekend, sir, but well, he sort of cooled off about them since. I think it's in view of the emotional side.
Did he ever mention any arrangements for meeting them again? Anything about passports?
No, sir.
What has he talked about, for God's sake?
Well, mostly the Russian lady, say, Irina. Oh, he mentions her name a lot, Irina. He likes to read her diary. He says he's going to make Moscow Center swap the mole for Irina when the mole's been caught and all this has been cleared up. And then he's going to buy a little place in Scotland. Oh, and he says he'll see me right, too. Get me a big job in the circus. I just listen, of course.
Right. You don't post those football pool coupons, do you, Ford?
Oh, no, Mr. Smiley.
Well, let's hope he doesn't have a win. That would be expensive for us. Thank you for your help, Miss Brimley. Sorry to impose on you.
He's gone to bed. I must ask you once more. What did you do with the 2 Swiss escape passports you took with you to Lisbon?
I told you. Burn them.
When you bought your fake British passport in Istanbul, a passport for yourself in the name of Richard Henry Poole, did you buy any others from the same source?
Why? Why should I?
To protect your child and her mother. That seems quite reasonable. After all, it wouldn't be a very gallant act to leave the woman and the child you love to the mercy of the Moscow hood on your tail, while you escape to all this VIP protection. It's horrible to think of. Truly horrible. To contemplate the lengths Carla might go to in order to obtain your silence or your services. But perhaps what you actually did, and forgot to tell us about, was to burn the British passports you obtained for Mrs. Poole and Miss Danny Poole, but kept your own to convince Carla's footpads you thought it was still safe. Then, probably, you made travel bookings in the name of the Poole family for the same reason. You doctored the Swiss passports for Danny and her mother and made other arrangements for them, like staying in Marseille, perhaps. Prince. I don't know where they are, but I'm sure no harm has come to them. Does that satisfy you?
Maybe you should keep a closer eye on your own damn woman and leave mine alone.
No, Peter. Perhaps it's just as well. I shouldn't know where you've hidden them, so long as you don't try to communicate. Unless, of course, you want me to help in some way, money or whatever.
No need. Let's trust each other, shall we? Are we friends again, Mr. Gwilym?
It won't be long now. Have you got all you need?
Can I have my gun back?
Yes. Oh, why not, Peter?
Do we buy that?
Oh, yes. I told you he'd been clever. A little bit of the truth is indispensable in the games agents play. You know that. Ricky put his family in safekeeping and found his own way home. He fooled the Russians. If Carla had a deal with him, do you think you and I would be alive and well and living in hope? Not by now, I think. Let it breathe a little.
Oh, just leave it. We'll pour it when we're ready. Does anyone know Carla's real name? How old is he?
Another mystery. Decades of his life unaccounted for. So many of the people he's worked with have a way of dying off. He was in England in 1936 and 41. That's documented. We can assume it was sometime during that period he recruited our mole, Gerald. I met him once in Delhi. Oh, this was long before we came to know him as the legendary Carla. In the mid-50s, Moscow Center was in pieces on the floor, wholesale purgings and shootings. And as a result, defection everywhere. I became a kind of commercial traveler. The whole world was my territory. Inspecting the goods, fixing the terms, disposing as seemed best, on London's instructions, of course. Well, I found myself off to India, where the authorities had arrested, at our request, on some trumped-up immigration nonsense, a Mr. Guestman. Carla's name at that time. He was on his way back to Moscow from San Francisco. Except that he didn't know when he left California that he was Moscow-bound. He'd been told to rendezvous with a TASS correspondent in Delhi. The message from the TASS man was an airplane ticket and don't ask me any questions, comrade. Carla was in disgrace, summoned and doomed. There were two other things he didn't know. The first was that we'd intercepted the radio signal directing him to Delhi. The second was that the San Francisco network he'd organized had been rolled up, hide and hair, the day he left. Could we take those things off his hands? I only have to shout for you, don't I? Mr. Guestman, you are the Cold War orphan. If you go home to Moscow as ordered, you'll be either shot or sent to die in one of the camps. Wouldn't you prefer to ask us for protection? We have no powers of permanent arrest, and our arrangement with the Americans was that they hit your agents and we make you this invitation. I can't see an alternative for you. If you cooperate, we can give you a new start, a new identity, seclusion, a modest amount of money. So why don't you start by telling me your true name? Would you like a cigarette? I know you're a chain smoker. Oh, Pete. I know this is what you smoke. Look, I'm not offering you wealth or smart women or your choice of fast cars. I know you haven't any use for those things. And I'm not going to make any claims about the moral superiority of the West. I'm sure you can see through our values, just as I can see through yours in the East. You and I have spent our lives looking for the weaknesses in each other's systems. I'm sure each of us has experienced innumerable technical satisfactions in our wretched Cold War. But now your own side is going to shoot you for nothing, for misdemeanors you have not committed, because of a power struggle within your own hierarchy, because probably of someone's treachery or sheer incompetence. I'm sure both of us, when we were young, subscribed to great visions. But not anymore. After all you've seen. You can't still be committed to that old grand design. You know it's achieved nothing except new forms of the old misery. Don't destroy yourself. They're not worth it. Do you know where your wife is? I mean, at this moment. You have to think about her. She'll have to make a new life. Did you have a friend? One really good friend who could look after her? Perhaps we could get in touch with her secretly. If you stay with us, we might be able to arrange something. An exchange for someone your people want returned. But if you go back, you can do her nothing but harm. She'll be cold-shouldered, suspected. The best she can hope for is to be allowed to see you before you're shot. Another meaningless firing squad. Guard.
What did Control have to say when you got back?
I hope to God they do shoot him. But they didn't. His boss was the one who faced the firing squad, as it turned out. Mr. Guestman survived and thrived. How he thrived. He went on to build his legend and become the Carla we know. The Carla who all the time he sat looking at me was no doubt thinking of Gerald the Mole. Have you noticed, Peter, that whenever I really trouble one of our acquaintances with my questions, he'll raise the matter of my failure as a husband to confound me? Instructive.
Ricky Tarr tried it twice.
Unimportant in his case. Spite. Well, that was sumptuous. That boy Fawn, good at his judo, isn't he?
Karate, George. Judo is what Fawn would call just your little cuddle, Mr. Smiley.
I don't think even Toby Esterhazy's people would follow us here. The food's well below the standard they've come to expect.
So, Carla's fireproof. He can't be bought and he can't be beaten.
Not fireproof, because he's a fanatic. I may have behaved like a soft dolt, the very archetype of a flabby Western liberal, but I'd rather be my kind of fool than his. One day, that lack of moderation will be Carla's downfall. Never touched radio since the debacle in San Francisco. Got it right out of his handwriting. His agents aren't allowed near it.
That's something else you and Carla have in common.
Yes, I am prejudiced against radio men. Tiresome breed, overstrung, unreliable. What's the other thing?
Well, the cigarette lighter. I assume you still have it.
As far as I know, Peter.
Sorry, George.
Not at all. How'd you feel, Peter?
I'm all right.
After Delhi, you know, Control gave me 3 months' leave without the option. When this is over, I hope you'll take it easy for a while. We're not quite there, but nearly. Peter, have you got the handbrake on?
Operation Witchcraft, Alaline to Minister. Extremely secret and personal. We spoke. Merlin, as you may have known for some time, is not one source, but several. It would do the Treasury no harm to learn, Percy was enjoying himself, wasn't he? To learn that Merlin's 10,000 Swiss francs a month in salary and a similar figure for expenses and running costs are scarcely excessive when the cloth has to be cut so many ways. Then he adds, nevertheless, I regard it as paramount that knowledge of the London house and the purpose for which it is used remain absolutely at a minimum. Well, in a sense, Percy Arline's quite right about Merlin. Of course, Merlin represents several sources, various departments of Moscow Center, with Carla queuing them in on the basis of the most timely material of the given moment. Sometimes he likes to direct circus attention to a topical subject, sometimes to deflect it. For example, after Ricky Tarr's encounter with Irina in Lisbon, Merlin delivered some vivid insights on the ideological penetration of the United States.
But Carla doesn't know what Tarr's done with the information from Irina.
Which brings us to your interrogation by Alaline and his reference to Tarr's probable role over here in muddying pools, etc. Merlin's message on Tarr, I suggest, was that Ricky would be trying to sell to someone in London, on Carla's behalf, fictitious material about a traitor in the circus. Nothing muddier than that, is there? Remember, Merlin is totally believed. So now we have a clear connection between Merlin and the mole. And at the heart of this beautifully symmetrical plot is a house in London for which the Treasury paid £60,000, plus another 10 for making it more to Merlin's liking, or Gerald's.
Fascinating, George. Thank you. And how do you suggest I explain to my minister, least painfully, that Merlin's a fraud and he'll have to tell the Americans so? He's devoted to Merlin.
Impress upon him that whatever he's buying from the Americans with Merlin's discredited currency is going straight to Moscow via Gerald the Mole. That should do the trick.
This document is not one you've asked me to bring. It arrived only today. Source unknown. According to a recently released prisoner from Lubyanka jail, Moscow's center held a secret execution in the punishment block in March. The victims were 3 of its own functionaries. All were shot in the back of the neck. One was a woman.
Ricky Tower mustn't know. It's vital he gets no wind of this. God knows what he'd do or not do if he found out Irina was dead. And we may need to make further use of him.
Do you really believe all that guff about Tar being in love with her? The little homestead in the Highlands, the avenging lover, the honourable Ricky Tar?
He may feel compelled, Peter. Everybody has a loyalty somewhere. He mustn't know.
I agree. Now, George, I've wrote all I could find on Jim Prideaux, such as it is.
Thank you.
Prideaux and Bill Hayden were really very close, you know. I hadn't realized.
Yes. Thank you. Operation Testify. We still need to understand what happened, or rather, why it happened. The file you borrowed, Peter, does at least give us a nudge in the right direction. I think I know who to talk to next. Your day was hardly wasted.
I am glad of that, George.
We've traced Prideaux. He's become a teacher. Thursgood Preparatory School for Boys. It's in the West Country.
Right.
3, 2, 1, go!
Please, sir. How long, sir? What's my time, sir? Timekeeper, time, please, Rhino. Please, sir. How long?
Well done, Roach. Knew you would. Second time round.
Sir, how long?
Now then, Jumbo. See that man? Who's he then? Seen him before?
No, sir.
Anybody seen him before?
No, sir.
He's not staff and he's not village, so who is he? Beggar man? Thief?
Tinker Tailor, soldier sailor.
Rich man, poor man, beggar man.
Thief.
Why doesn't he look this way? Something funny about that. Here's a bunch of boys burning up a car around a playing field and he doesn't even give them a glance. You would, wouldn't you?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't he like boys? Doesn't he like cars? Doesn't even look at that car. Best Britain ever made and years out of production. Right. Gather round. Come on. Right, now, anybody sees him again, let me know. Or any other sinister bodies, understand?
Yes, sir.
Don't want juju men wandering around pretending they don't know we exist. First glimpse, tell me, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, Jumbo, don't hold with odd bods wandering around a school. Last place I was at, we had a whole gang broke in, cleared the place out. House cups, money, boys' watches. Nothing sacred to types like that. We don't want to swiping the Alvis. Words irreplaceable, thanks to socialism. Colour of hair, Jumbo?
Sort of light-coloured, sir.
Height?
About the same as you, sir.
Age?
Well, hard to say, really, sir.
Go as it was, at that distance. You'd know him again, Jumbo, for sure. Best watcher in the unit, Jumbo Roach is, eh? As long as he keeps his specs clean.
Please, sir.
Oh, it's you, Jumbo.
Got my legs, sir.
Oh, dear. Can you get up? Now, slowly. Slowly. Fell off the bricks, did you, Jumbo? Let's have a look. Ah, nothing broken. Just a graze. Matron will soon put that right. One thing gives you a good excuse for getting in late. Missing evensong. Tripped over in the lane. Is that what you tell her? We got a secret, haven't we? I can trust you, I know that. We're good at keeping secrets, loners like you and me.
Is it because of that man? Would you shoot him? Are you working undercover like Bulldog Drummond in the book? Some of the boys wanted to call you Bulldog, but we thought Rhino was better. Bigger than a bulldog.
I used to be a soldier, Jumbo. What you saw just now, that's a souvenir. You know, it's like this. How I got it, they're both secrets. I keep them to myself. You understand, don't you, Jumbo, eh?
Yes, sir.
Knew you would. Knew you would. Good night, Jumbo.
Good night, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, long time no see.
Hello, Sam.
Care for it?
Very impressive.
Better than selling washing machines anyway. It's a bit odd putting the dinner jacket on at 10 o'clock in the morning, of course. Reminds me of diplomatic cover, come to think of it. Believe it or not, it's straight, which makes a change. We get all the help we need from the arithmetic.
I'm sure you do.
My employers might let me invest a few pennies of my own before too long. They're tough boys, but very go-ahead, you know. Rather like we were in the old days. So, what can I do for you?
I want to talk to you about the night Jim Prideaux was shot. The night of Operation Testify, which was what it was called, in case you didn't know.
Writing your memoirs, George?
We are reopening the case.
Who's this we, old boy?
Lacon called me in, with the minister's blessing. I can give you a telephone number to confirm, although I'd prefer not.
All power corrupts, but some must govern, and in that case, Brother Lacon will reluctantly scramble to the top of the heap.
The record's been filleted. Of what there is on the file, the most useful piece of information is that you were duty officer that night.
Yes. Yes, I'd just come back from Tokyo, a 3-year stint. Nobody seemed to have any plans for me, so I thought I'd push off to the south of France for a month's leave. And then old Mendel, controls minder, picked me up in the passage and marched me off to sea control. The whole place felt weird. There was nobody about except the radio and code people. That Harridan Molly somebody or other was monitoring, a busy little body.
Molly Purcell.
You were in Berlin, Bill Hayden was up country, and Percy Allaline was in Scotland. Control seemed to have cleared the decks. My God, he was a shock. I'd heard he wasn't his old self anymore, but I hadn't been prepared for this. It was like opening a coffin lid. He didn't waste time on any pleasantries.
I need somebody good to man the switchboard. It's got to be an old hand. I could bring in somebody from one of the outstations, but you're better, because you've been away for so long, away from the infighting and the vendettas around this place. You don't know what I'm talking about. That's good. Just do exactly what I tell you. There could be a crisis tonight. I've got a man doing a special job. It's of the utmost importance to the service. The service, it's for us. It could change everything for us. Your job tonight is to act as cutout. Cutout between me and whatever goes on in the rest of the building. If anything comes in, radio signal, phone call, letter, anything at all, no matter how trivial it seems, you are to wait. Wait until the coast is clear and then bring it straight to me by hand, Sam. You don't use the internal phones. You don't put anything down on paper for future reference. Is that understood? And when it's all over, you're not to breathe a word about it. Never. Not to anybody. Not to Smiley. Not to Hayden. Not to Bland. Nobody.
What if I have to send out something?
Only what I tell you.
Their defensive weaknesses have, I think, cost them the match, which could now be sewn up by Paul Mariner. Or by Woods. Two are still down. Or by Muren. Or by Walk. And in the end, by none of them. Unbelievable. And Paul Mariner is completely flat. And he deserves a great deal better than that, because I think by shade he's my man of the match.
Bollocks. The studio officer. All right. Yes, I see. Yeah, well, I have to call you back. It all sounds very unlikely.
Collins, this is urgent.
Well, it's open.
There's all hell broken out on the Czechoslovak air. Half of it's coded, but there's enough that isn't.
Prague or Brunner?
Brunner.
Yes? All right, Molly, keep listening. Control? Oh, Control. The resident clerk from the Foreign Office came on first with a story from Reuters, head man in London. Molly picked the same thing up on the radio. And Reuters and a couple of Fleet Street papers have already had another go at the Foreign Office. They're saying that a British spy has been shot in Brunner. The Czechs are telling the world about an act of gross provocation by a Western power. They haven't named the dead man yet. Can I have a brief, please? Control, I need a brief. We must say something. Do you want me to deny it? A flat denial, just to start with? Do you want me to get someone else in? Do you want to come downstairs and handle it yourself?
It's deniable he had foreign documents. No one could know he was British at this stage. There hasn't been time. Even if he's not dead. Find Smiley.
He's in Berlin.
Well, anyone will do. It makes no difference. Tell Mendel to get me a taxi.
You sent Mendel home.
He's been named.
Hello? Hello. Hello, is that Mrs. Smiley? You got my message then? Where did you leave it? I rang George Smiley's house just in case his wife happened to know where you were. You are a friend of the family, aren't you?
I saw the ticker tape at the club. I gather there's been some god-awful shooting party. Tell me, Czechoslovakia, right?
Jim Prideaux's been shot. Look, the Czechs haven't got his real name yet. They're using his work name, Ellis.
Jim. Shot dead?
Well, we're not sure that was the first flash. Since then, the word used is simply shot. Well, the Czechs are saying that Prideaux, Ellis, travelling on false papers and assisted by Czech counter-revolutionaries, tried to kidnap a Czech general, unnamed, in a forest near Brno, and smuggle him over the Austrian border. They say that further arrests are imminent.
Go on.
Well, according to our military, there are heavy Czech tank movements along the Austrian border. Laken's been on, and so's the minister. They want to know what the hell and why. Now, I have put out emergency calls to Smiley, Alaline, Bland. I'm glad to see you. I'm sorry, Bill.
All right, Sam. Now, first thing we do, you call this number. It's Toby Esterhazy. Tell him you're speaking from me, and he's to pick up the 2 Czech agents we've had our eyes on at the London School of Economics, and lock them up. Now. Straight away, Sam. Jim's worth a lot more than those 2. But it's a start. I'll have a word with the Chief Hood at the Czech Embassy. If they hurt a hair of Jim Prideaux's head, I'll strip the entire Czech network in this country bare. And he can pass that on to his masters. I'll make him the laughing stock of the profession.
I'm bound to say Hayden was a treat to watch. I used to think of him as a pretty erratic sort of devil. Not that night, believe me. He virtually dictated a press statement for the Foreign Office to put out. And there it was the following morning in the Sunday papers. Prague radio's sensational revelations dismissed with dignified scorn. I found it good light reading over breakfast at the Savoy.
And then you went to the south of France?
2 lovely months.
Did anyone question you again?
Percy Alaline. Well, He was acting chief by then. You were out on your ear and Control was in hospital. Percy wanted to know how I'd come to be doing duty officer on the fateful night. That chap Masterman was down for it. Well, I told him what I'd put to Masterman, that I'd know at a kip and a quiet weekend in the circus would save me a bit of spending money for the south of France. Percy said I was a liar.
And that's why they sacked you, for fibbing.
Alcoholism. There were 5 empty beer cans in the duty officer's wastepaper basket. Well, there's a standing order against booze on the premises. So what was your offence, George?
Oh, I couldn't convince them that I wasn't involved.
Oh, well, if you want anyone's throat cut, give me a buzz.
Sam, listen. It was too late for Hayden's club to be still running ticker tape, wasn't it? He was making love to Anne that night. You made a guess at that, and you were right. You telephoned her. She told you he wasn't there, and then as soon as you'd rung off, she pushed him out of bed. And Bill turned up an hour later, knowing about Checo. But you didn't tell Anne about Checo. I'll find my own way down.
Mind how you go, George.
To be